What is the first question everybody says when you came for meditation? Everybody, all over the world, when they come for meditation, they say one question. They ask, when you meet the teacher personally, you always say this question, what might that be? You meet the teacher and you say, my mind wanders. Right? How can I stop my mind from wandering? So, today I am going to give you the answer. Alright. Buddha has given the answer, how to stop let your mind from wandering. So this thinking is a big thing in our lives. What is the activity that we do most of the time? Thinking. We get up in the morning, we brush our teeth, we get to work, we do our job of work, whatever we have to do. We think certain things are important. Maybe we do our daily activities, send emails, commute to the office and back. We do all of these things. But the single most activity that we do most of the time is none of those things. It's just thinking. Thinking. There's no end to that. It's like we are addicted to that. We are so addicted to that, thinking. Can you feel that addiction? When you get addicted to something like alcohol or cigarettes or something, it's difficult to kick that habit because there is that desire to keep on going. When you see for a person who's addicted for alcohol, when they see a glass of alcohol, their mouth waters. So like that, when a thought arises, our mouth waters for that taste. Our mind wants that. We just want to think. Our life is thinking. If somebody tries to take that thinking component out from your life, you'll be miserable. You wouldn't want to let go of that. Now, how are we going to get awakened while having an addiction to thinking? So this keeps on coming. And however much we try, we can try various types of meditation objects. We can do the 7 ways of watching and watch the breath, do the walking meditation, everything. In a retreat, I say when you are chewing, just be mindful of chewing, swallowing. Whatever we do, what's there all the time? Thinking. So, in Sinhalese we say, Kalpana karo. So much so, we love this so much. Sometimes we name girls Kalpana. I think it's a nice name. So, in Pali, we call it vitakka. So it's a very important aspect in our whole meditation, our being. Vitakka has to be there. But there's 2 types of vitakka. One is wholesome vitakka, or wholesome kalpanagiri, wholesome thinking. The other one is unwholesome thinking. So wholesome thinking is what you need for meditation practice, to be with the object. Unwholesome thing, you have to let go. So it's not that you completely let go of the whole thinking aspect, but you have to let go of what is unwholesome and develop what is wholesome in thinking. Now, we know that in meditation we have to have, there's two types of aspects in meditation together. Buddha didn't divide these two things, but they are together in our meditation practice. A certain deity came to the Buddha in the early morning hours to Jetavana, where he was living. And it is said that the whole of Jetavana got illuminated when this Deva comes. And the Deva sits on a side, pays respect to the Buddha, and he asks this question. He says, inner tangle, outer tangle, this whole existence is entangled in a tangle. Who succeeds in disentangling this tangle? That is the question. So, the answer Buddha gave to that is meditation. So if you explain the answer that Buddha gave, that is the manual of meditation. And what is the answer he gave? Who succeeds disentangling this tangle? Now you know what the tangle is, no? Tangle is our life. We are entangled in a tangle. Just look at ourselves. When we started, we thought our life was all perfect and everything was going right. But little by little, there were knots. And today, we are entangled in a huge tangle. And the nature of this entanglement is that when you try to disentangle one knot, it gets entangled in another place. Our life is like that. Try solving one problem in our lives, another place gets knotted. Or you take one out and there are 3 knots. So finally we give up trying to fix what's in life and we just leave. And so who succeeds disentangling this? So this tangle is dukkha. And to get out of this, Buddha says, Sile patittaya narosa panyo chittam panyancha bhavyam atapinipako bhikkhu so imam vichitejana. So you have to establish well in discipline, in virtue. And on top of that, you develop these 2 types of practice together. You mustn't have a division, but together you have to practice. What are those 2 types? Chitta and prajna meditation. Only with this you can disentangle this tangle. You can do other stuff, but to disentangle this tangle, if you want to get out of dukkha, this is the only way. There's no other way. Right? So, disentangling this tangle by using these 2 types of meditation. Now, what are we doing in our meditation practice? Now, most of you send one-on-ones every day. And what happens there? You are doing these 2 things. You are developing concentration and you are gaining wisdom. So I am checking whether you are developing concentration or are you gaining wisdom. If you are not gaining wisdom, if you are not developing, then we have to, there's something that we need to seriously do. Right? So this chitta prajna meditation, this aspect. Now how do we, so we come to see the concentration aspect of meditation is a very, very important thing. So Buddha talks about this particular point. Buddha talks about 5 points on how to get rid of these unwanted thoughts, thinking. 5 ways. Why do you use these 5 ways to gain the higher mind, Buddha says? Higher mind that's needed for vipassana, for disentangling this tangle. So there the higher mind is explained as 8 types of jhanas. We can just understand simply like being in concentration. Because only in a concentrated mind the true nature can arise. Samahitang chittam yata bhutam pajanati. Only in a concentrated mind you can see the true nature. In a mind which is not concentrated, you can't see anything. So, to gain that still mind, calm mind, peaceful mind, the higher mind, we can't do it when there is constant jabber in the mind. Constant thinking. We can't do it when we have a addiction to thinking. So the problem is not in the teaching, the teacher or the yogi. The problem is we have addiction. It's thinking. So with these 5 methods that Buddha suggests, we can kick this habit. We can get rid of this addiction. That's it. And these are very, very practical things, what Buddha says. Sometimes we take meditation as a very lofty, spiritual, something that we don't understand, it's beyond us. It's a bit abstract, all right, but it's very, very practical. Meditation. And the answers Buddha gave is also like very, very practical. Remember the answer Buddha gives when you feel sleepy, what to do? Very practical. He says, develop bright light. What happens if can you sleep when a bright light is on? You can't. Somebody comes and switch on the light, you say, I want to sleep, switch off the light. So visualize bright light. If you can't, just open your eyes, go and wash your face and do walking meditation. And finally he says, if you can't do anything else, go and have a nap. But so practical. Why does Buddha have to say that? Because we are not practical sometimes. In meditation we think, oh, we have to do something like this. There are these crazy ideas. Do not connect these weird, crazy ideas with meditation. Meditation is a very practical thing. Meditation goes with wisdom, not with strange things like bhuta, balavega and all these type of things. Business, unwanted things. Right? Buddha drops them. Buddha says, don't even bring them here. Right? So you have to understand, it's a very practical, it's a thing that we can attain, every one of us. So, thinking becomes a very, very, the importance of letting go of this thinking is to gain that higher mind. And thinking is a very, very powerful thing in us. Remember that story I told you the other day about a monk and the young monk? Remember? There's a younger monk And then there was the older monk. So his student, his apprentice. So what did he do? He loves the teacher so much, he got a new robe. And he offered this new robe to the monk. And when he offered the new robe, the monk said, I don't want this. Because sometimes when we have two robes, we don't want another one. It's a problem. Only in lay life you want everything. In monks you don't have belongingness, too many things. Now when we go, if somebody asks me to come, I just walk out and we can just leave. But in a lay life, when I was a layman, I couldn't do that. I had to lock the vehicles, I had to lock this thing, I had to plan everything, I had to tell people at the home, you had to do like this, do like that, allocate funds for everybody. It's a lot of things. But you can just left. So this monk didn't want that. He said, I don't want this robe. And the young monk got really upset. He got hurt. Sometimes when you give something and if they don't accept, you get hurt. No? Try making some curry or something to your husband. Cake, bake a cake and give. And he says, I don't want this. You get upset. So like that he said, so he got really angry. So what happened was, he said that and immediately said, it's very hot, can you come and fan me? So he stood on the side and he started fanning him. And while fanning, he was burning inside, this young monk. And he was thinking, you are very ungrateful person, I am fanning, but you didn't want to take this, my robe. And how much I look after you. But you don't have any caring for me. And he thought, I shouldn't stay in this as a monk. I should leave you. You are not worthy of having me. I am going to leave you. I am going to leave you and I am going to go and disrobe, get a job, and then I can gain some money, and once I get money, I will get a land and build a house, and I will have a balcony or like a veranda, and I'll put my legs up and I'll be so happy. You can suffer here with your one robe, right? I'll have a good life. Then I'll get married. I'll find a very nice girl and I'll get married. And then after some time, I will have a baby, a nice, beautiful little baby. Now see how the mind is going. He's still fanning. He's still fanning and he's thinking. Now this is vitakka. So he's still fanning and thinking. Our meditation is also like that. Right? So the object is to fan, but the mind keeps wandering. So you keep on fanning, and then thinking, and then what happened was, he thought, one day I will come with my wife to meet you, and I'll bring my baby, I'll bring my wife, and we will come in a cart full of robes. When a layperson gives, you have to accept it. Right? You have to at least keep it in the cupboard or give it to someone. You have to take it now. You can't say no. So I'll bring a lot of stuff and I'm going to give it to you. And then he thought, when I was coming and then the wife gets down from the carriage, wife accidentally drops the baby. And because then he got angry. He said, if my wife drops the baby, I'm going to hit her. And he hit the monk with the fan. Because he was fanning, he didn't know what was happening. Now the monk, the head monk, the senior monk, he turned to him and said, are you hitting me because of the anger you had towards your wife? Why, if you get angry with your wife, you should deal with her, not with me. Because the monk could read the mind. The head monk could read the mind. So he was following this young monk's way of thinking. And so, like that, the mind can go on like that. Silly things, stupid things. None of those things are real. There's no wife. There's no baby. It's in our mind. You start thinking. So you want a pill, you want a way out. You want, sometimes you think meditation is fixing, bringing the mind into a place where it doesn't wander. It doesn't think. No, what you need to do is replace the unwholesome with the wholesome. That we don't want to do. Because we think the unwholesome is tasty, nice. So we keep on unwholesome going. So Buddha talks about, the first method he talks about is replacing when a unwholesome thought arises, unwholesome thinking arises, replace that with the wholesome. Replace with wholesome. So what happens? We are watching the breath. Let's say breath is the object. And what happens? Next moment, a desirous object arises. Sometimes it can be, let's say, suddenly an ice cream comes up. A mental image of an ice cream, a thought about ice cream. And you start thinking about ice cream. I want to eat an ice cream. And then you can see the ice cream. And then what happens is you have to understand at that point with clear comprehension that this mind, this thinking is unwholesome, and you replace that with something wholesome. That's the first method that you have to do. So this is a very light thing. It's not strong, it's not very powerful. It's a light thing, it's just an ice cream coming away. So most of the time what we have is our daily activities, our jobs, what we do, routine things comes up. And when they come up, what we do is we have to replace that with something wholesome. What is wholesome there? What is wholesome is the thought of letting go, metta, and seeing things as they are. So if you can replace that, whatever that arises, with that, then that's the first method. So actually you have been doing this all this time. So what am I saying? When the object arises, what am I saying all the time? Keep watching things as they are. So that's replacing immediately with the wholesome and not falling into unwholesome. So a thing like, sometimes you come and say, today my meditation was, I had good meditation today. So what do I say? I say, did you watch that thought? What is that? That's judging your own meditation practice. Did you see that as a judging mind? If you see that as a judging thought, then you are replacing unwholesome with the wholesome. You understand this? So that is the first thing. And the Buddha gives an example for this. The example he gives is just like a peg. Now, in the sutra, he explains, when a carpenter, they have wooden pegs in, do you know that in tables and all they have wooden pegs? How do you take them out? You know what wooden pegs are? That's how you make a hole and then you put a peg inside and then you cut it. So you have a peg in there. So how to take that peg out? You have to get a smaller peg and hit it. And then it goes away. So similarly Buddha says, if you take what is wholesome, non-greed, non-hatred, non-delusion, and replace this with wholesome, immediately that breaks off. And then you can come to the object of meditation. Immediately you are replacing and you are coming with the object of meditation. Understand that point? That's the first point. Alright? Second point Buddha talks about is to look at the danger of this thought. Now you are watching something. Just imagine you are thinking about a cricket match. That's what we do, no? When there's a cricket match going on, everybody's thinking about the cricket match. If some cricketers come here and everybody's talking about it. So meditate and also the cricket match comes into our consciousness. Yeah. Breathing in, out, and then cricket comes next. So what do you do at that time? You have to immediately think the danger of this. So that's known as adina. So you can look at this adina as unwholesome. It doesn't help you, and it will bring you suffering. So these are the three ways you have to reflect upon. What is the first one? That it is not wholesome. It doesn't bring you anything good, and it will bring you suffering. So whenever we have when you want to do something unwholesome, we can think about the danger of that, and immediately we can stop doing that. So Buddha talks about this in Vitakka Santana Sutta, in Majjhima Nikaya Sutta number 20 in Siyanada Vagga. Right? So this Buddha talks very clearly, he talks directly for meditators. Very important for this term, for you to understand. Alright? So what is the first one now? What is the first one? Tell me. Huh? To replace with something wholesome. Thought. So you meditate and then something unwholesome comes. Immediately replace that with something wholesome. So what is wholesome? Your object of meditation. So you are thinking, and suddenly you realize, I'm thinking, I must go back to my breath. I must go back to the object of meditation. I must go back to the sign of meditation, whatever that may be, the object may be. So you come back there. Second one, what is the second? Huh? What is the English word? Danger. What's the repercussions that can happen? What will happen if I start thinking of the cricket match? At the end of the meditation, I have wasted 1 hour. it's neither helping me or the cricketer, nor the country. Doesn't help anybody. You don't gain anything out of it, even if it's a problem that you have in life. However much we think about the problem, it doesn't solve the problem. Problem remains as it is. But how often can we not do that? It's so difficult. When a problem comes, we start thinking. We think, I can fix this. I can change this. We think the answer is by thinking. Yeah. So you have to, when that happens, you have to see, by thinking I will end up like this. By continuing this, what will happen if you sit in meditation and you think about a desirous object? You think about a man or a woman. You think you have a sensory fantasy. You start thinking about it. You become a warped person at the end. And your thinking will become very narrow. You won't be a happy person, nice person, free person. You'll become very dark and gloomy and unhappy. So when you think like that, I don't want to do that. So I must come back to my breath. I must come back to my object. Now see the danger. And the Buddha gives a very nice example here. He says, just like a young woman or a young man who dress up very nicely. Now young women, young men, they like to dress up very nicely, aren't they? Sometimes old men also like to dress up. But when they are dressed up very nicely, they put nice shawls and nice ornaments and nice sprays, what do you call it, perfumes, and beautifully combing their hair, do that, and then they put a necklace. And when they put the necklace, suppose they realize by mistake, thinking that it is the necklace what you have put is a dead snake around your neck, how would you feel? Think about that feeling. And thinking that Buddha is a very, very direct person. He doesn't, beat around the bush. He just tells very directly. So he says, imagine that. Imagine this young woman, this young man thinking it's a beautiful ornament, suddenly realize, oh, what I have put on my neck is a dead dog. 5 days dead dog. Imagine that on your. Then he says, or corpse, human being. If you realize that, what is the feeling? What are you going to do? You immediately shake it off. No? Immediately. Why do you do that? Why do you do that? You do that because you see the danger. You see the repercussions. You know that it's ugly. You know it's dirty. You know that it doesn't help you. So that type of feeling you have to have as soon as this arises. As soon as it arises, you have to shake it off. Throw it away. That's how you deal with unwholesome. You sit in meditation, something comes. You don't say, oh, let it be there for a little while. Nobody can know it anyway. I am not harming anybody anyway. It's all my dirty mind. You don't think like that. You have to immediately think the repercussions of that. Just throw it away. Just like So next time when you come, something comes like that into your mind, you have to think of the corpse, a dead dog, a dead snake around your neck. That's the second one. The third one, Buddha says to just forget. He says forget. So what is the first one? Huh? Replace with wholesomeness. What is the second one? Huh? See the danger, repercussions, what it brings. There are two types, two of these things. One is called anisansa and adinava. What is anisansa? The good that comes happen. When you do an action, certain good things happen. That's called anisansa. Adinava is the bad thing that will happen. Alright? So that's the second one. But third one is just forget it. Forget it. Right? Now it's getting stronger. So you how does Buddha gives the example like this? How to forget this thinking? He says, just like a man with good eyesight, if you see something, you just close your eyes. And as soon as you close your eyes, you don't exist. I can't see you. I think of something else. Like that. Or look away. Look away. But what happens is, it's so difficult to look away, isn't it? Just try looking away when you are going into a fancy grocery store or somewhere. Or accident on the road. Try not looking away. I am not going to look at this accident. It's very difficult. You are going to look a little bit. Right? If there is in the case of women, if there is another woman with a new handbag, try not looking at that fancy handbag. Is it the real thing or is it duplicate? Difficult. So that's how seductive the thoughts are also like that. It's very difficult to get our mind away from thinking. So you have to train your mind to do that. Just look away. Just drop it. That's what Buddha says. So the example he gives is just like closing your eyes. Okay. So that's the third one. You remember? Forgetting. So the next one is a little bit complicated, or not complicated, but it is. Next one is looking at the root of that thought. Right? So Buddha calls it stilling the thought formations. Vitakka moola. Right? Vitakka moola. You have to see that. It is a very, very vipassana oriented practice. That is, you are thinking and you reflect back on that thought. Not the storyline. Not reflecting back on the storyline. Now sometimes you reflect back on the storyline. So you watch the breath and suddenly you are in Spain. Then you reflect back. How did I come here? Oh, I was thinking of Spain because I was eating some food, Spanish food. And then why did I think of Spanish food? Because I was thinking of going home and cooking something different. Why did I think of going home and cooking something different? Because like that you can trace back, that's tracing back the storyline. That's not what Buddha talks about here. This is stilling the formation of thought, the creation of thought. You just bringing it down to where it is. So the example Buddha gives is, if a person is running, this running person can slowly think and change the running into walking, and the walking into standing, the standing into sitting, sitting into lying down. Like that, systematically you can trace back to the origin of thought. So where is the root? Root is greed, hatred, delusion, or non-greed, non-hatred and non-delusion. So there are 6 roots. And this is what you call, you might have heard a word called Yoniso Manasikara. Have you heard that? Yoniso means going to the root, going to the very beginning. Yoniso. And reflecting. So reflecting the origin. So I have to watch that. So then the interest develops when that happens. So I watch. Suddenly I'm cricket match and I'm playing cricket. Sometimes what happens is the desire of playing cricket. That's why we watch cricket matches sometimes. Because we can't do it and we let somebody who can do it well watch, and maybe you catch yourself watching playing cricket, and then you immediately see that and you see as a desirous thing. This is greed, this is desire. Or if you remember somebody, a fight that you have with somebody else, hatred. So you come to the root of that and sees that, and that also is another way to live. Alright? What is the second one? Danger. Third one? Forgetting it. Now the last one, the fourth one? Huh? See the root. Okay? Going back to the root. And the last one, Buddha says, is, what might be the last one? Last one is, he says, crush the mind with the mind. And it becomes very strong here. Remember, Buddha, we sometimes have this idea about Buddha being very compassionate, and it's our wrong idea about compassion. Compassion doesn't mean laissez-faire, just a person who says everything yes, 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 yes. That's not this thing. If you are a leader, you have to be strong. You must, if you know something, if you have a vision, you have to go ahead with that. So Buddha is not a person who says yes, 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 yes. And he's very strong. And he says, crush the mind with the mind. Very powerful word he uses. And the example also he gives is really, really funny. He says, if still a thought comes and it becomes very, very strong and you just can't. Now this is the stage where most of you are lying. Most of you are asking, how can I let go of this? Because it's so powerful. I sit and immediately it goes there. So how can I let go? Don't crush the mind with the mind. And it says, bite your teeth. Push your, this is what the sutra says. Bite your teeth, push the tongue up to the upper palate and make determination like that. That's the exact translation. Right? And then crush the mind. Don't let it happen. You know this feeling that sometimes when a powerful person put you down, what do? You turn around and you go. And you walk to the room. That's what you do. Because you can't win in that situation. When you can't win, you can't hold that emotion. So you bite your teeth and you clench your fist and you walk a very stiff walk into the room. That is bearing, that is fighting, that type of fight Buddha says to put. So that is virya. Virya is not just pleasing, very soft virya. The Buddha says, Chandang janiti vayanati viryang arabati. Okay? If Buddha tried to become very little, he will never get enlightened. He will be still Siddhartha Gautama. So he went under the Bodhi tree, he said, even if my bones turn into dust, I will not stand from here until I become the Buddha. That type of determination, do we have that type of determination? At least we must tread towards that. That's what we lack. You have everything else. That's what we lack. Okay? Have that effort. Really. So, the example he gives is, if a strong man finds a weak man and then bends the weak man, hits the weak man, crushes the weak man and hit the man and put him in a place where he can't move, like that, with strength, brute force. You use that in the same way you have to use. That's very important to know this. So today is a very important, it's not exciting, but today's points are very important as yogis for you, in the place that you are in your practice. First one is replace with the wholesome. Second one, danger. Third one, forget it, don't look at it. Next one, fourth and fifth one, root cause. The last one, crush the mind. See? And then it's gone. Try, it's fun. Go to meditation, I'm going to do all these things. It's not boring anymore. Right? You have work to do. You have stuff to do. And take like this. So it's a very important. So it's called Vitakka Santana Sutta. So that's exactly what it says. And practice your meditation like that. The activity that we do most in our life is thinking. The problems that are created in our lives is because of our thinking. Because thinking turns into words. Thinking turns into actions. Thinking would determine who we are, who we have become. So if we become a person with wholesome thinking, wholesomeness will follow us. Goodness will follow. Just like the mind is the forerunner of all conditioned things, mind made are they. If act upon wholesomeness, happiness will follow. If done with evil intentions, suffering will follow. So keep a tab on your thinking. Wandering mind, judging mind, commenting mind. Come to know the thinking first. There's a habitual thinking pattern in all of us. We We think in the same way most of the time. If you take in a particular day, you think same type of things that we think. Meditation cleanses this and gives you a better way of thinking. That's why yogis, when you come to a particular level, you change as a human being. Sometimes you have little behavior patterns which are ugly. Either we are talking too much. There's no brake. Have you seen vehicles without brakes? Have you seen a driver driving when he realizes that there are no brakes? He tries pushing everything. He steps on everything, holds on to everything. Sometimes we are like that. So most of the problems we have is there is no control over our speech. All those things, every problem we have happens because of the thinking. So, vitaka. So continue your practice and we'll see you next week.